All right, waiting for the YouTube to be live. Usually takes a couple seconds. And YouTube looks live and sounds good. So we are live. So, welcome to the Foolish Tech Show. We're here to provide support and answer any questions about our software and services. If you have any of those software and services questions or want to see any demos, jump on over to foolishtechshow.com. We got an IRC chat. You can use embedded or open in a new tab or open a new window, whatever. Or you have the settings to join your own IRC client to it, and you can talk directly with us. And we'll be more than happy to interrupt whatever we're currently rambling on about to answer any of those questions or things. So feel free at any point in the show to bring those items up. Otherwise, we'll just sit around here and talk shop and discuss some of the latest tech news. Also, just to throw out there, we're going to start doing the Twitch stream a few minutes before the showtime. So if you want to see the pre-show, you can watch the Twitch stream to get early access. Probably won't always be doing something interesting there, but the YouTube one will start on the hour. So looks like we got Futures Tech Eric already having a strange issue with d7II. So what's the details on that? We'll definitely go over and talk about that. So we'll definitely see those. I guess I could ask him there. And welcome everybody while we wait on that question to come up. Looks like we already got Futures Tech crew in here. Eric, Nels, Cherie, and Quark. DG Murdoch the third is in here. Looks like Ian just joined us as well. Abando Computing. Hey, Martin. Phoenix, RTM Tech, and Shook. So, hey, how's it going? Okay, so he's been seeing this error. Wonder where you would get the D and 3 eyes.
Yeah, that's odd. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, that's very strange. Yeah, and take your time typing though. Oh, so even when you're double clicking the exe, it says that? Okay. The only time I can think that would happen is if there's an IFEO blocking it. I know that whatchamacallit has the service, when it's running in the background, it also sets an IFEO sometimes to prevent d7II from running or popping up. Let me get you the registry key to check that, since you can't look at the IFEO thing there. Give me 1 second here. I'm not sure why it would be doing that on you there, but let's see. Seeing if we had that as a standalone tool first, but don't think he does. So So if I can have you, when that does happen, check and see if you have a registry key here. So if you can check that registry key and see if you have a block for it, that may be the case. Like I said, I know at certain points d7II will put a IFEO modifier there to block d7II from running in certain situations, and it should remove it when it's ready to run again. But I guess I could see times where it didn't get removed, so that may be the situation there. So we'll have to see what happens on that. And this page actually has some more information on that if you want to know more about the keys and things that are there. But I believe it should just show up as a subfolder with the d7II.exe name. And Nick had told me about some reasons for that, but they escape me right offhand at the moment. But I do know that there are some points that that will happen. And that sounds like the error message you would get when that's set. So, if not, if you could also check and see if the d7II service is there and if it's running or not, that may also indicate some things there. So while he's checking that out, we'll go ahead and throw out here. Oh, wait. Yep, and that's something we were going to talk about on the show today. I think we have a link or two to it here. And actually, it was, TeslaCrypt shuts down, and they released their, oh, that was same link. So anyway, they shut down and released the master decryption keys. So that means that apparently they made more than enough money off of that. I did see some other tools had already come out with decryption utilities for it. So those are already making their way around. It was one of the antiviruses. I can't remember if it was MCSoft or Kaspersky, but one of those released a decryptor for it as well. So since they were kind enough to give out the public keys, that's actually really nice of them. So if you do get infected with that later on and they're not going to be collecting the money, then you'll have that option available. So pretty cool and nice of them there.
Why do you think they did that? It's kind of weird.
I honestly believe it's because they cut their losses while they were ahead. Like, I mean, they've had to have made some money off of that, and they were probably like, all right, we've gone far enough. Let's not get busted. Let's cut it off. And probably just giving them, yeah, and Ian says the feds were getting too close.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, that's I think the biggest reason, and probably the other side of it is they just felt bad about what they were doing and decided to release the public encryption keys if they weren't going to be making money off of it anymore. No reason why people should be hassled by it, which they're still going to be hassled by it, but there's no way that they could just turn off all the copies that are out there. So if you do happen to get infected by it again, you can at least decrypt your data for free. So, um, yeah, I really do think it was probably that they were just like, all right, we're getting too close to What I mean, there's a better saying than that than cutting your losses while you're ahead. What is that? Where you're like, you're way ahead and you decide to stop while you're ahead.
Stop while you're ahead. Yeah, that's it.
I thought there was a better saying for that, but
Cut
I
and run.
feel
I
like
don't know.
that's probably the case here. Is that they were like, all right, we've made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of this. Let's go ahead and stop now before we get caught and busted for it. So, yes, thank you, Futures Eric. Stop while you're ahead. So, quit while you're ahead. That's another one as well. Thank y'all. Um, that's why we love our chat because they can help us. Um, so yeah, those I want to say that's the reason that they did it. And honestly, it's great that they said that they would give out the encryption key because they definitely didn't have to do that to stop while they were ahead. But it
Yeah.
probably throws the trail off even colder. Like there's no reason to continue trying to find these guys now because they made off with the money and they're not doing it to people in the future, or at least
Yeah,
giving an option to free themselves of it. So
I thought that was a really interesting story. I'm glad you're covering it.
yeah. So Michael had another link here while we wait on Futures Tech Eric's system to reboot there. Chromebooks have officially outsold Macs for the first time in U.S. figures. Michael said it looks like it's because of their popularity with schools, so that can
That kind of
probably
ties.
thing. I would say too that you gotta remember Chromebooks are what, like a fourth of the price of Macs.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe that the cost is primarily the reason for their success with the school districts, especially when one of their prime competitors, Apple, in that arena for the schools is nowhere near that price point.
Yeah,
Uh, so now they can all subsidize it dramatically as well, but Apple subsidies on top of something that's costly to begin with is
not gonna help much.
yeah, not going to help much. Now, I did this tie-in myself, so don't take that. I don't think it's can be read from the article there. But there was the issues about Google and Gmail being used by educational institutions, and the concern with student privacy and student privacy laws, and education things. That was an issue, and this would push them essentially more. It looks like it's going to create that problem won't go away, in other words. So hopefully
Well, I
that will.
mean, unless Google can prove that they're not doing that. So
Well, it, as long as everybody's following what rules and guidelines they need to. Hopefully, it's
well,
only up and yeah.
another thing that will be great for it, although I'm not sure how it's going to work out on the school side of things, is that Google finally announced today that the entire Play Store is coming to Chrome OS. So if you have a Chromebook sometime this year, it's not coming out today. I don't know why it's taking them so freaking long. They announced 3 years ago that they were planning to do this. But now they're finally going to bring the whole Play Store to the Chrome OS, and you'll be able to load all of your Android apps on there. That is significantly going to help Chromebooks out, I feel. There's already a kind of technical way that you could run certain Android apps on there, but it's it's coming back to where it's going to be much nicer now if you have the ability to get to all of them. So okay, no problem, Eric. Just take your time. No rush on it.
Yeah, Phoenix.
So
By the way, the I had covered, or I had was looking into that. I posted it on the Spaces site that we have. The hacker um, uh, giving back. I guess what do they call him? The Robin Hood hacker. Um, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Thanks for mentioning that. I believe that article. Yeah, yeah. No, I think you got the right article. There's one that I think was paywall that I didn't want to.
is that the one that you posted, the paywalled one?
No, I didn't post the paywall one.
Oh,
So
'cause I
let me
might
just
see
double.
that one actually.
Let me double check the show links that I just posted. Should be up at the top. hacking team hacks is yeah, more hackers combat. So I put the Ars Technica version of that article on our Spaces page.
If you want to copy and paste that, you can.
Yeah, let me do that. Here you go, guys. I always love, like I said, Ars's take on those things, usually very detailed. Not that that's a huge article, but it's good enough. It has a nice, pretty map at least, and gives you an idea of Syria and where this particular group is within it, and of course I always have to love the the maps that they used on that page. You'll see when you follow the link. Yeah.
Yep. So that's cool that they're doing kind of the Robin Hood thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is this about the TrueCrypt creator thing? I'm gonna post a link for that one in there.
Oh, what? I'm not sure.
Oh, that was Phoenix posted that one. The creator TrueCrypt didn't just create TrueCrypt back in 2004, but he also had a darker side, drug trader, gun smuggler, and also ran militia in Somalia. Huh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he had quite the resume going on for him.
Okay, they did a whole this whole video thing on there. It's like they wow.
Yeah, quite a bunch going on for that one.
Hmm.
Now this one is one that Michael posted. The IP address is not enough to prove guilt. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting story, and it's not even so much about the IP address issue, because I think we all probably agree and understand that how ISPs distribute IPs and how it would you need to narrow not just having the IP address isn't always sufficient. I think we can all agree on that. Some little additional work needs to be done to pin the crime. But in this particular case, the funny part about it was this: the pirate, the quote pirate, because of course he's not guilty yet, was asked by the movie guys, and this is specifically what was specifically the movie. What was it? Dallas Buyers Club, and he said they told him to take the polygraph test, and of course they expected him to decline. And they had a stipulation on it. If you did the polygraph test, we would do this and this. Depending upon the outcome. And they immediately withdrew that offer once he agreed to it. So the whole behavior, if you read this article of the prosecution or the filmmakers in this case, and how their legal team is approaching this is very dubious. And maybe the article is a little bit one-sided in that regard, but there's no reason to believe otherwise, and they're not backing it up by their actions. They could claim why they're retracted the offer, but it clearly would appear that they're trying to muscle and strong arm the guy and get the judge to, basically rule on the case solely based upon his IP address. And the argument and the lawyer and the defense are making a very clear and good and valid point that the IP address alone in and of itself is not sufficient to prove it. Whether or not you believe in polygraphs is one thing or another, but again, why would the filmmakers bet on something like that as opposed to having substance to their case?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's usually their tactics going back. So, Fence posted that the Android apps on Chrome thing is going to be huge, with things like the server's Ultimate Pro being available on Chromebooks. So, I honestly think that it's going to be huge for large majority of the apps on their Microsoft's desktop stuff, or remote desktop app is there. The TeamViewer app, so you don't have to use their web interface on Chromebooks anymore. Every single Android app out there is almost a huge benefit to the Chrome OS. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they thought about rising their price points up. I know a lot of their nicer versions of Chromebooks have been around the $1,000 price point. So we may start to see a lot more of those coming out, and hopefully they'll still continue with the low price point Chromebooks, because I really feel like the low price point Chromebooks were kind of so that they could just get their foot in the door. I do hope they continue that trend and don't just go to regular laptop prices, because that is one of the things I say. If you can go out to someone and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for a new laptop," and you're like, "Well, what do you do?" And they're like, "Well, I just do Gmail and Facebook and uh, social media and look at news sites," and basically they say absolutely nothing that requires a desktop app. I usually tell them, get a Chromebook. That's all you need. You'll actually be far safer on the internet because of that, and you'll be a lot better off because you'll have a much lower price point of that. So, um, Ian hates Windows 10. Sorry about that. It's not that bad. I kind of like it, but their upgrade path on 7 and 8 is kind of aggravating. Um, oh, Glenn, welcome, Glenn. So Phoenix also points out that he did a ton of stuff as well. The TrueCrypt developer is already in jail, but it's not fully open source. It's built off the same source code for a program called E4 encryption for the masses. The strange connection to LaRouk's and TrueCrypt development was killed around the same time he was arrested by the feds. Interesting. Glenn can be God if he wants to. Wow, so Windows 10 is bad on an Inspiron 15R? That's interesting. That's the first system I've heard it being bad on. It usually does fairly well with older systems. I have it on an old VAIO, and that one works really well. My Lenovo tablet inch thingy here, it works really well on that, and that's pretty low powered. I did have it on Johnny's netbook, and that one was quite slow to run. So I've since replaced that with Linux, since we're just using it as a security system. So, God, you're going crazy. So just to throw out there, we keep talking about our spaces. If you want to see our links or talk about them or even add your own links, feel free to join that show link space. I myself post a bunch of links there. Phoenix has been throwing links in there. Michael's been doing it. I know Proctor has access to it. I don't know if he's thrown many links in there yet, but it's kind of nice so we can have it all there and we can bring it up and talk about it. People aren't just throwing random links at random times in the IRC chat, so that makes it easier to do the show notes later. And you can even have conversations about it inside of there. So if you have things we want to mention and talk about, then we can do things like that on there. Phoenix, I didn't see your latest one. Looking at it now, though, those aren't our foolish IT topics. Get back to the foolish IT topics. That's what we want to see. Glenn, did you hear? I did have a few things. Yeah, go for it.
With Easy to Boot, can you install that on a hard drive without formatting it to already have a Zalman with ISOs and other data on it?
I thought you could copy it over. I didn't know if you had to format it. It's been a long time since I set up my Zalman, though.
Yeah, well, I was looking at it like 5 o'clock in the morning, so I might have not been reading well.
Possibly, though, you could have a. I mean, you could just copy your ISOs off and put them back when you're done.
There's a bunch of data on that drive.
So he says yes. You only need to install grub for DOS on the drive, which wouldn't require formatting.
That's what I was thinking, but I wanted to make sure before I did anything.
cool on that. So, Glenn, something for Australia there. Apparently, eBay in Australia has VR now, so you can look at your items you want to purchase in virtual reality before you purchase them. That's pretty sweet. I had another Australian thing. I can't find it right offhand now, but Australia had a couple cool things that I wanted to talk about. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this is the other one that I want to talk about. So, also, Landcruisers are providing communication networks in the Outback. Did you know about that, Glenn? Are you a part of that yet? Should be. Thanks for your opinion, Phoenix, but if we want to do guest topics, we're going to limit those to foolish IT stuff. We're not a general tech show other than us general rambling and talking shop. What else do we got here? So these are two that Phoenix brought up about the Windows 10 Windows roll-ups and being a new creation, possibly getting ISOs for those. So that will be cool.
Oh, yay! I want a new ISO.
About having updates come a little bit easier. That'll be nicer.
Yeah, well, I've done enough Win 10 installs recently. I'm starting to, we talked about the Windows 7 update process, but Windows 10 has had quite a few updates come out to it. If they're not too quick at rolling out new ISOs, but that's good news, man.
Yeah.
Forward to that.
So Michael had posted a duplicate link about this, but I found it first, so I'm going to credit myself for it. The Wayback Machine is now legal court evidence, so that's awesome.
Yeah, the judge was very reasonable in that particular. He. It's good to know that that lawmakers, some lawmakers, and some judges, people in our legal system at least, are aware of technology and are not completely luddites when it comes to this type of thing.
Yeah, and it's nice that that's a nonprofit that's providing that technology, not some corporate entity.
Well, there's a lot of reasons to love the Internet Archive. Yeah.
I mean, I would be more concerned if it was a corporate entity.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that's
this corporate entity can be used for legal court stuff now.
And I think those things went into the judge's decision in this case. I mean, again, I believe that he did his due diligence research on the matter. So,
Nick, glad you could join us. Futures Tech Crew had a question with d7II that they were running into, and I know you've talked to me before about when it could happen, but I wasn't sure on the specifics. So they're getting a message when they try to run d7II that the application can't be found, and I'm pretty sure that relates to an IFEO modifier being put in for d7II. And I know you had mentioned that happens sometimes. I wasn't sure if it was with the service or during when d7II did stuff, or no? Not sure on that. Okay.
No, I'm digging for the message now. Chat.
Yeah, it was back at the very beginning of the show. I'll repaste it here if you'd like.
Oh, I'm about there.
Okay. It was 16:04:06 is the timestamp I have on it. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to post a image, not sure, image share, I guess, whatever's the best way to do that, you can do that. send us a link to the image, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So while we wait on that, and he's checking the IFEO stuff, because that sounded like the message you get when that happens, but again, not too sure about it. Here's another interesting article I found about in-flight Wi-Fi and what to know before wasting your money on it. I was very surprised that they didn't mention anything about the security of those networks, because usually when you're connected to a in-flight Wi-Fi, it's kind of like connecting to a pay-for public Wi-Fi hotspot. So I do highly recommend that if you're going to use one of those, you still use something like a VPN or something to that nature, and make sure you don't have any shares open and accessible, because usually when you're connected, everyone else that's connected can access your system just as if they were on the same network. So be very careful about that and worried. Puppy, you're not going outside till after the show. Come lay down. There's nothing out there for you.
What do you think?
Let's see. Oh, Nick, I'm sorry, but now you're never going to want to use ATMs again.
Again?
This one actually kind of has me worried about using ATMs, because this isn't an actual physical skimmer.
Yeah.
It's actual malware that they install on a system, and then it can be remotely accessed with a magic card that they put in, and they can use
Already
numbers.
been there and done that.
Oh, so you already knew about that one. So yeah,
that was the one that freaked me out.
Yeah, that's pretty bad there. Also, another link for all of us e-smokers out here. Apparently, the Department of Transportation has banned you from putting your e-cigarettes in checked luggage now. So it will have to come on board with you. I was thinking, didn't they already have issues with putting lithium batteries and things like that in checked cargo already?
We talked about this a little bit in Austin, I believe. Actually,
Yeah,
we
up to a certain
anticipated this happening.
Yeah. Well, I know you can bring those kind of things in the plane with you, but putting them in checked baggage is a little bit more dangerous because no one's down there monitoring it for
What we
somebody.
talked about in Austin was leakage from the tank due to the altitude.
Yeah.
No, but Brantley had suggested to me to bring it in my carry-on bag. There was a little bit of a discussion about the carry-on bag as well, and whether or not to put it in the checked luggage. And I thought that was when we discussed the lithium ion, but maybe I'm mistaken.
Maybe, but now the Department of Transportation says you have to bring it and you're checked on. So
It keeps changing outside.
are there any subfolders under that, Eric? If there's a subfolder that says d7II.exe, you can remove that folder.
You don't still have your IFEO modifier program, do you? Downloadable? Sure.
Yeah, so Nick, it looks like there was a IFEO modifier for d7II added. You can just remove that entire subkey, and that'll let you launch d7II again. But I know it does do it at certain times. I just forget the specifics of why you told me it does it. So,
I forget ever there being a reason they're coding that.
well, I might have another reason too, but it may be an off-air discussion. So, we'll look into that and see if we can figure out why it may have done that. But if you ever do run into that strange issue again, that registry location will normally have that, and you can remove it, and you should be able to run it immediately. but if not, you may have to restart the system for the registry settings to take effect. But I'm pretty sure that registry
It's
setting
immediate.
is immediate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should fix that strange issue. And again, we're looking more into why that may have been happening for you.
Some more details on, like, I don't know. I know it's like the whole tracking it down, like what'd you do first, and like was it always like that, or but anything else on the system, that kind of thing. But any
Yeah, if
common
you have any
denominator?
other things that relate, I know you said you'd seen it on a couple systems, so maybe see what relates between those and what operations you ran. New error.
Hmm. I don't feel like I'm about to be surprised and be shown something that I forgot I did.
Well, when you get done typing there,
CryptoPrevent? What the?
no, it's not CryptoPrevent. So I think it may be related to something else.
Yeah.
Debug or
There was a person who contacted me and said he was using a product that actively was hurting ours and attacking ours and trying to disable our software, and he never told me what it was. I wonder if this is a similar situation.
folks on
So
there.
to take that software restriction policy out, I'll give you the registry location for that as well. Hold on one second.
Most likely it'll be under a random GUID, but
You,
hey,
you can look up event ID 866 in the application event log and see what the rule is in place that may be blocking. That is blocking D7II.
Brantley, get the root registry key and have them search just from that root key for d7II.exe.
Yep, that's what I was going to do. There may be only one if you don't have CryptoPrevent or other software restriction policies, but yeah.
Oh, Proctor.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, there you are. Fix the Sophos custom app.
Awesome.
Like right before I turned my video on. I was focusing on that.
Sweet.
But it just works. I'll deploy that after the show or after the show.
All right. Cool.
I did want to run it through a few more tests first while I'm sitting here. So.
So if you look under that registry key, there should be a 0 and a 2644 or something to that effect. But really, if you just go to that code identifiers and then do the edit find for D7II, it should take you directly to the GUID that you want to delete, and you'll just delete that whole.
Before deleting, let's look in there and see what did it. If there's a description, there should be there may be a description string in there.
Yeah, I'd love to know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But my apps usually write a description in there. Always.
Yeah, if this is the case of another.
But that's something we would talk about later. So yeah, it should be in there, but that IFEO modifier and that should make it so that you can run it again. But definitely let us know what other kind of stuff you have running on there. And actually, if you want to send us a support ticket at support@foolishit.com.
Actually, I can go ahead and actually, Brantley, I can go ahead and disclose that if the software is running under a debugger, that's a problem. It will do that. My bad. Brantley is right. If d7II is running as if it's attached to a debugger.
Is that the only time that would do that?
Should be. Should be. It's in the don't crack me code.
I wouldn't imagine they'd have multiple machines with a debugger there. So, Eric, if you go to that GUID, which is the thing in the brackets or the semi brackets, what are those called? Curly brackets.
Curly brackets.
That curly bracket will be listed under that code identifier, and that rule, you can just delete that entire folder.
Tell us what it is, though. Tell us what the rule is, though. I'm interested.
If you have a description there.
If it has a description, yes.
It doesn't matter. I already know what. I already pretty sure what this is, unless there is a description that's descriptive. Anyway, I'm sure he would say it. Yeah. It really looks like the. It really looks like it's like it's trying to run under a debugger for analyzation to analyze the executable, or it's like a hack copy of d7II or something. That's the only thing that would do that, actually. I've forgotten about that. Thank you, Bradley.
Yeah, but the Futures Tech crew has a legit copy.
Yeah,
I know.
So maybe this machine tried to.
They said it's happened on a couple of systems.
Are these machines with any sort of development tools on them, like Visual Studio or something like that?
Even still, Michael, I don't have these issues.
Yeah,
true. But I just
Visual Studio is running as well.
But I know, but maybe somebody did something with Visual Studio to attach d7 to the debugger or something, and that's what's causing this. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
We've talked about your random guessing and assumptions before. But removing those two should get you good on those. Uh-oh, Phoenix has a surprise for us to do with CryptoPrevent. Oh yeah, I guess I could go ahead and announce that as well. Yeah, just remove that whole subkey, so the 17DDA, and then try running it again, and let's see if it puts all that stuff back. If it does, then there's something on that system that's causing it to break itself. Now that one, you may have to run a GP updates /force from an admin command line, or just restart the system again, and that should take that policy out of effect. That one is not an immediate action taking one. But if you restart the system, it'll take effect there.
Brantley, it's GP update, not updates.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
that's even
nicer. What are you about to get for CryptoPrevent in the next few weeks? Yeah, I thought so. I didn't think that stuff was broken. Just curious on how it's brought up for them.
Yeah, what's causing it in their particular environment.
Oh, cool. Phoenix is going to go for a CryptoPrevent bulk upsell or resell edition. Awesome, man.
Yeah, let us know how we can help you with that. If you need my assistance or our assistance, just rely upon us.
So also on that same note, we can go ahead and announce that there's a updated version of CryptoPrevent beta out there.
Very happy. This is an awesome release. Very awesome release.
We actually have a couple new features that have been added to it. So the folder watch has a last scan time, so it won't scan all of your old stuff that it's previously scanned. And also the tray icon now has toast notifications so that you can be alerted if a SRP or folder watch action has been taken.
I like it. Please, guys,
So
let us know what you think about that. I'm sorry to interrupt, Brandon, but let us know what you think about that. I think that's such a cool feature, and I think the users will appreciate it too. It's nice, and also generally on like a Windows 10 system, it fits right in, you know, and that's I thought was quite impressive. Brantley did a real good job on that, and he also worked on a whole lot of other little details that you might notice throughout it too. So take a look.
Looking pretty close to release, wouldn't you say?
I believe so. There are some things with the white label that I'm still working on. So other than that, I don't think it should take an issue. Glenn, actually, you should be able to just open up the old beta, and it should automatically update to 7.8.4.4. Otherwise, you may be able to install over top of it, but if it doesn't automatically update, I would recommend just uninstalling and reinstalling it.
I installed over top with no problems, but I wouldn't want
For
to count on it, I guess.
Yeah, there is
yeah,
an issue. There may be. I know at least in previous versions of CryptoPrevent, like for instance, if you had email settings configured and you reinstall, it won't wipe any of that away. It'll still bring over a lot of that information. But that again, that shouldn't cause any problems. I mean, just refresh your settings and look through them and make sure that they're still what you want them to be in case it did pull in some existing settings. But I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean it did pull over the email settings, which was good.
yeah. But if I think if the service or the tray app or the interface is running, then reinstalling over top of itself
Wouldn't
might
work.
not work.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, none of that was the case when I installed it.
Yeah, so I would recommend if you have it installed, you uninstall and reinstall over top of it if it does not automatically update when you just open it. And yes, Shook, if you have installed on multiple systems, you would have to log in and update it. Unless you have automatic updates turned on, those will automatically update on the time schedule.
You would have had to have entered in a product key to make that happen, though, during installation.
Yeah. Phoenix, to answer your question, the 40% deal is going on until the release of CryptoPrevent. So
Version
once
8.
we have the version 8 released fully, then our sale is coming down for that. So definitely take advantage of
And
that now.
prices will be going up at that point too. Correct?
Very important point. Yes, that's correct.
Correct.
But I've been testing this version on my actual main systems, and well, they've largely have not had any issues at all. And Brantley's already repaired the issues that I have found. I even at maximal levels of protection, I'm finding the installation to largely or to be completely safe as far as your systems are concerned. And there's no weird gotcha side effects with the first reboot like there was with maybe potentially some startup items in the previous release. And the logging is great. Those notifications are great. The submissions are great on your samples. So, if you guys want to start using that to submit things, if you find it, that's a good idea as well. Did you take that the proxy configuration out, or is that still in there?
Yeah, I took that out.
Okay. We will be adding some proxy configuration information. We've had a couple people need that for their deployments, and for CryptoPrevent larger deployments, and we're planning on having that functionality as well.
And it shouldn't be that long of a pause, but let me know if it has any issues for you. That would be interesting to know.
Yeah, it does, apply a much larger number of security policies compared to
Well, not for
CryptoPrevent
the
version 7.
pause on the updating, which is what he's talking about.
Oh, that doesn't. Yeah, I guess that wouldn't reapply the updates, would it? No.
Okay. So it was taking a while to perform the update and then relaunch itself. So that makes sense. I may add a notification window to that. Let me go ahead and note that down, actually. God, my Chrome is so terrible. I am seriously about to replace it completely with Firefox.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just on a toss-up. I do have issues with Chrome from time to time, but Firefox has also proven to be a little bit weird with the technologies they throw around in their recent releases. I'm not liking their kind of willy-nilly nature to rolling out things.
Currently not available, Shook. There's no current way to get the PC name for each license that's installed. The only option we have is to check how many remaining licenses you have.
Well, don't you get the
Have,
PC name?
Michael.
Mhm.
We do have an option coming up in the future that will have a management system, which will give you a much more thorough ability with your inventory auditing purposes for it. But
You
in the
get it with email notifications,
yeah, but
don't
you have to get an email notification about it. It's not going to just tell you that it's
you?
installed or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
But you could,
not currently.
you could force a test event. You could force a test event on all the machines, and then check the emails after that. And there are
Possibly
ways you could accomplish that potentially, but it's not going to be.
not worthwhile ways.
Well, I'll let him decide that.
Oh yeah, Glenn, it is a 12,000-mile journey before plus the policy. So
Yeah, I was actually looking up those distances. Was it earlier today or yesterday? I can't remember, but yeah, Australia is quite a long way away from either coast.
Eric, let us know when you get that thing around there. Yeah, we're definitely not rushing the beta, as it may apparently be obvious. So, because I want to make sure it works. It's my first real software development, and it's been quite a large project and undertaking. So I do want to make sure it works. And Nick has even said I want to make sure it works to an aggravating end. So, all right, cool. Let us know what goes on, Eric.
And please use the form on our, with CryptoPrevent Beta, use the form on our site where you download the beta from to submit any bug reports you have to us. That's been a huge help. Brantley has been kept very busy with those, but I think you'll find that all those submissions are resolved at this point, or at least the vast majority of them. We do appreciate that feedback.
Yep. So,
yay!
All right, cool. It fixed it. Let us know if it happens again on that system. Like I said, Nick's going to look a little bit more into it and see what he's got going on, and see if there may be any other reasons. It's not new stuff that he's added, so this stuff's been in there for quite a few years. But if you can relate anything between those systems, we might have more to check on or go on. But he's going to do some digging and looking into it as well on his
Is it possible, as you use D7, like on a flash drive on a number of machines, I mean, it's potentially possible that you run into an affected machine that does maybe think that d7II is out to kill it and will try to maybe alter it in some way. And could maybe any of that have caused this on his computer?
No.
Then it would be reproducible, right? I mean, it would happen every time, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah. The only thing we can think that would have caused it is the anti-piracy options on it, which it's been out for far longer than either of those two versions. Basically, it's checking if there's a active debugger running or if it's a hacked copy, which neither of those I think would apply in your situation. So we're not sure why that would end up happening on yours. So it just randomly happened while you were running d7II after a while? Very strange.
So they've had it happen on two machines and then it just magically disappeared on those? Wow, that's bizarre. I haven't a clue why. But, well, but I mean,
We'll look into it and get a little bit more detail and see if we can come up with a specific thing there. So, but you now know if you ever do have that issue show up, check those two registry keys and remove them there. So,
okay, so one we just fixed together. Gregory is asking, someone have blacklisted d7II.
that's sorry. Gregory, I don't think that's the case, but there is something there.
And
So,
Neutron is the time sync, right?
yeah. So if you have Neutron running at startup with d7II, you'll go into the main config, so main menu, then config, and then custom apps. And then you have a section radio button down towards the bottom. You have two of them actually. It could be start session or every startup. Remove it out of either of those two lists if it's in either. Usually if it's starting up every time, it's in the startup one. If it's starting at the beginning of the session first, then it's in that session start one. So that will take Neutron out. Or if you want to have other things run at the beginning, you can do those. So, honestly, you can just go to that code identifiers registry link and search for d7II.exe, and that should take you right to the right one. And you wouldn't have the event until you ran it and got that error message saying that software restriction policies have blocked it. So good stuff about the stuff there. All right. So while Eric continues to check on that other one, here's some other interesting things we found. Oh, no problem, Eric. That's what we're here for. Otherwise, we just talked random shop like these things. I did not know this, and maybe some of y'all can check as well. Do your wireless adapters have an option to disable when it detects an Ethernet cable? I'm thinking it's only for certain wireless cards.
I've never seen that option.
I haven't either.
This link apparently points it out, and I believe they were looking at Broadcom as the particular card that they were looking at there. But I wanted to bring it up because, again, yeah, I've never seen that option myself, but it would be an awesome option if they included it on a new one. So Phoenix says Dell normally has that option there.
I would have thought I would have seen that. Maybe it's a new option.
Broadcom options. I'm going to look in my Windows 10 one because I didn't even check this one. but my other 2 laptops didn't have this ability. Yeah, so it's not on my Atheros one here. So I think it's driver specific, but hey, if you got a card that has it, and Phoenix points out Intel wireless cards apparently support it, so those are 2 cards to check out if you want to have that option. Because it is quite aggravating, because usually it's hard to tell what one Windows is going to choose to use. Sometimes it'll use your LAN connection, which normally it should when you start up, because that's usually going to be the first thing to be enabled. But depending on your system, it may be that your wireless connects first and it decides to use that even though you're plugged into a wire, which that's really aggravating, because your wireless may not be as fast as your wired connection, or you may be thinking about the security implications there. So good thing to check for if you want to check for that. Otherwise, you'll still have to remember to turn your wireless off if you connect into a LAN. So this article is a little bit old, but I wanted to bring it up before we got too far away from it. This person was flying their drone at a Renaissance fair, and one of the actors threw his spear and knocked it out of the sky. This was not in America, because if it was, they would have been charged with a FAA federal crime for interfering with aircraft. But just so you know, don't knock your drones out of the sky in America. But this was over in Germany, I want to say. So I would have been super pissed either way. Screw your Renaissance realism. If my drone is flying in the area, you don't need to knock it down just because of your whatever. But yeah, I agree. Glenn. I would have found that drone and spear right quickly, and when he came back to claim it, it may have been Russia. It was one of those Western, Eastern countries, I guess that is. So.
It's a dang good throw.
Yeah, it was a good throw.
I got to jet, guys. You guys have a great one. I'll see you. Check my note in the chat there, but take care.
All right, later. All right, well, we have reached our hour time limit, and we have helped with a d7II thing, and we have released a CryptoPrevent beta thing, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up with one more old link here that I didn't want to get too old. And actually, Tank, this one's geared towards you as well. They have a new Bluetooth lantern from BioLights, which basically it looks like you can charge batteries off burning things or some other stuff. I didn't really look too much into the details on it, or even maybe it might just be Kickstarters at this point, but possibly something to keep a look on and an eye out for and think about. But I always like having interesting tech products to go camping with and survive outside of the electricity world there. And yeah, he was a good throw, but still, that throw cost $600, and it might have broken that drone. I would have been pissed. And it was a good shot. He was getting a good shot of the stuff going on, so screw that guy. Anyway, I think we should go ahead and wrap her up for today. So thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks Future Tech Crew for pointing out that, and like I said, we'll look a little bit more into see if why we can figure out when or why that may have occurred. Nick made some notes here, but a little bit too detailed for me to try to figure out here on the show and talk about, but we'll probably talk more about it tomorrow. And otherwise, check out CryptoPrevent version 8, the new version 7.8.4.4. Leave some feedback on that forum if you have good or bad. Glad to hear both. Otherwise, we may end up having a release here soon. And hope everyone has a great Thursday and rest of the week. And Friday's the last day, so we're almost to the weekend. And I guess go ahead and take us on out, Proctor.